Is it time to reveal your real magic and become seen, known, and valued? Hello and welcome to this video. I am Rinak Aiken, and today I'm talking about the poem that broke through my visibility blocks and got me the CEO job. So the reason I'm sharing this with you, the reason I do the work that I do, is what often shows up when we go to take action, to show up and share our message, is we run into these inner barriers, these what I call habits of hiding, the procrastination, the freezing, the distractions, and the holding back our full expression, I can't talk about that, or I don't know what to say, or my mind has gone blank, or it's too overwhelming, or I just want to show up and do my transformational work, if that's what you do, and not have to put myself out there all the time. So what are visibility blocks? So they're limiting beliefs, but they're much, much deeper than limiting beliefs. They actually exist in our emotions, in our bodies. They exist at a deeper level than our minds. So they're in our energy system, they're in our nervous system, they're in our freeze response, they're in our cells, they're in the collective, they're in what we inherit from our ancestors, so also from our ancestral memories. And so visibility blocks are often bigger than you and older than you, as well as the experiences that you had growing up, the limiting beliefs that come from that, what you learned from your family, from your culture about how safe it is to take up space. So, and they drive our behavior on deeply unconscious ways that are often running the show, driving the bus, even when our intentions are very different. And even if you are aware of them, even if you're an expert like me who is very aware of transformation work and all the different levels and layers that can exist, they can still be very hard to change and resistance to change, because they're old, because they're collective, because they're in our nervous system. But it's hard to really ignite your visibility without shifting these blocks, because it's very hard to really show up consistently and share your voice, your value, your message on top of a block that it's not safe to be visible. And it's not easy to be a powerful influencer, to really be the change that you want to see in the world, to influence others, on top of an old story that you're not good enough. And and if you are somebody who would love to be in your flow and shining and radiant and sharing your passion and wisdom for a particular topic, but if you're carrying a belief that, other people are more important, I have to please others, I can't really rock the boat, it's very hard to shift these things. So, and the good news is we don't have to do this perfectly. We're often taking tiny baby steps. They can feel like huge, big, bold steps, but even just baby steps, and even just 1% shifts can help us move forward, can help us create a foundation of safety, more confidence, more, I did it and I didn't die. So just bringing awareness to this shifts and opens up new possibilities. So what do you relate to here? What's your experience of visibility blocks, and what inner barriers or habits of hiding are you already aware of? What challenges or struggles do you have around visibility? What patterns keep repeating themselves? It's like, I disappear down the the rabbit hole of social media, or I get busy cleaning the house, or taking care of others, what actually happens for you again and again when you try to put yourself out there and be visible. I'll do another training course. I'm not yet ready. What happens for you if we were making a documentary of you and we were getting the camera out? What do you see yourself doing? It's very valuable to kind of get present just to that, just to see, oh, they're my habits of hiding. And I just want to invite you to bring a lot of tenderness and compassion to this as well, because we all have these patterns. They come up again and again at different levels, new level, old devils pop up. They're very persistent, they're deep, they're old, they're collective. So it's really good to get present with what these are. And I'd love to share a story with you, the story of this video, of the poem that helped me break through my visibility blocks. And then I'll share, after I share the story, a little bit about why poems and the way that I work and have learned to work with poems is so effective for breaking through visibility blocks. So this was 10 years ago now. It was 2013, and I was feeling a yearning to step into my leadership. I was working in management, but I'd been the good deputy, the good, team player, often the one coming up with the great ideas, but not leading the team. And I was feeling like, I would really like to implement my own ideas rather than be the one feeding my ideas to somebody else who gets to implement them and create them or not. And I felt just the frustration of playing a game that was a little bit too small for me, and that, I was getting these nudges, it's time. And I was terrified. I was really uncomfortable with taking up space. So even though I felt this calling and I applied for one of my dream jobs, but I didn't get it because the terror, when I went into the interview, I knew what to say, but I was tongue-tied, my mind was going blank, I was freezing, I was really struggling to take up space and imagine myself as a leader, leading a team with all eyes on me and the responsibility that came with that. And it was like my body was saying no, even though my desire was, big, but my capacity did not match my desire. So it wasn't happening for me. And so I was doing deep poetry work at the time. It was before I attended the Poetry Depths mystery school 3-year training that I did, but it was leading up to that. And I was attending this workshop, and I would ask myself, what poem do I need to work with next? And I had this awareness of this yearning to step into leadership. And my intuition told me, this is the poem you need to work with. And I was, no, not that one. I love that poem, but no, not going there. A great poem, but it's not for me. It's not my poem. And give me another one. And for 2 weeks, I kept asking, what poem do I need to work with? Got the same answer. And I was like, no, not that one. Huge resistance for some good reasons, which I will share. But eventually I surrendered. Eventually I said, okay, my soul is giving me this nudge. And I'm going to surrender, and I'm going to go with it, even though I'm conflicted and I'm resistant and I'm very uncomfortable with choosing this particular poem. So the workshop day came, and there was an opportunity which we had to step up in front of the group and speak our poem. And I was really terrified. I could feel how, my mouth was dry, my heart was pounding, my stomach was like, I want to throw up. But I took a breath and, stepped in front of the audience and began to speak. And this poem, it just felt like it was a coat that didn't fit. It was beautiful, but made for somebody else. It's a Phenomenal Woman poem by Maya Angelou. And I was like, I love that poem, but she's black, she's tall, she's larger than life. This is for the African American community. This is for black women. I am small, white, shy, cerebral. It's really not my poem. But I trusted my soul. I went with the poem. And as I stretched into it, I noticed my body come alive. My hips sway, my arms extending, my head held high, and my voice growing deeper and louder. And I saw the audience mirror me. Their eyes were lighting up, their smiles were widening, their bodies were swaying with mine as I stretched into this new language. Pretty women wonder where my secret lies. I'm not cute or built to suit a fashion model size. But when I try to tell them, they think I'm telling lies. I say, it's in the reach of my arms, the span of my hips, the stride in my step, the curl of my lips. I'm a woman, phenomenal woman. That's me. And it was particularly the last section of the poem. So now you understand just why my head's not bowed. I don't shout or jump about or have to talk real loud. When you see me passing, it ought to make you proud. I say it's in the click of my heels, the bend of my hair, the palm of my hand, the need for my care. I'm a woman, phenomenal woman. That's me. And this poem really stretched me into a new persona, into a new powerful expressiveness that was very uncomfortable for my, tight, shy, very reserved body and identity. And I was very uncomfortable being the center of attention and attracting the kind of attention that poem is really kind of saying, yeah, I'm comfortable with that. I'm comfortable with me. I've accepted who I am. But most of all, for me, it stretched me into my leadership. It's like a pioneer poem, a woman taking up space. It's, a black woman taking up space in a world where they were, at the bottom of the pile and being in control, loving her body. But the lines that were most impactful for me was, now you understand just why my head's not bowed. And I could feel those physically affecting my posture, my habitual kind of hunching or leaning forward slightly apologetically, which, was, I could see in a lot of Irish women, this kind of, keep your head down, don't put your head up, look after others, is everyone else okay? I could see that in a lot of the culture. And it was actually physically in my posture that I had that. And a few weeks after working with this poem in this workshop in a way that really kind of broke through so many layers, it was so uncomfortable and at the same time, creating space for me. I had another interview, and so I stepped into this hot, sticky room in front of 5 other people, and this time I had the magical weapon of the energy of the poem. So before I went into the interview, I was sitting in the car and I was speaking the poem to myself, and I was able to claim my space and really, ace the interview, say what I wanted to say, and got the CEO role, my first CEO role. And so for someone who never felt like a leader. I worked for 5 years as a CEO in that organisation, and I completely transformed the organisation. It was a failing organisation. It was struggling in offices that were tight and cramped, and people weren't very happy. And I really, I led a team of 100 staff and volunteers. I was able to implement my vision, create a new, beautiful new head office in lots of magical ways, generating, 1 million in revenue. And we helped tens of thousands of vulnerable people as a non-profit in our local community. And also I loved mentoring the other staff and volunteers into their leadership, including the person who took over from me as CEO was a new volunteer when I stepped into that, and I was able to mentor her and many others into their leadership, which was the seeds of the work that I do now. But it was such a huge identity shift for me, beyond what I thought was possible. And a few months after the interview, and after this experience with the poem, my energy had shifted so much. I was actually getting tension in my neck and in my back, and I went to see a chiropractor who released some of the long-standing tension and postural misalignment that I had, because now my energy had shifted and actually my body could adjust, release this tension, and now my head is not bowed in that way. That was gone. It's like I didn't need that story anymore. So this is what, I really want to share about the power of energetically embodying a poem and how it works on multi-dimensional levels, because it works with the imagery, it works with the body, it works with the limiting beliefs, but also, the ancestral patterns that we carry, the collective patterns around women taking up space. It worked on so multiple levels at once. It was why there was such resistance to it, but also why it was so powerful. And so the right poem at the right time, and it's different for everyone at different times, it kind of really addresses these visibility blocks on multiple levels at once, and triggered and surfaced these deep somatic beliefs and energetic ways of being. And it really is a perfect antidote to the old stories in ways that we can't imagine, in ways that an affirmation will never touch. So it's really, really deep. The other thing to, bring attention to here is it was the poem, and it was also that community experience of being witnessed, of being guided, of being held as I stepped into that poem. So from my teacher who created the safe space, but also, helped me to stretch beyond my comfort zone. And also from the audience who were cheering me on and saying, yes, it's safe to take up space, we're here with you. And also what happened in that workshop as I was doing that, people could see how I was struggling with it. And, quite a few of the women, they got up and they stood behind me. They had my backs. They were really helping me to stretch into it. I couldn't have done it alone. And so that's what, I love about, working with the poem and with what I call poetry alchemy, which is where we bring that poem and our intentions for, what we're shifting into a space, a safe space of presence and witnessing, where whatever it is that's in us that needs to move through and out and be more fully expressed is held and is allowed to. And that's where the magic is. It's the poem and the way of working with the poem that trusts what's in the body and what wants to be released. So, and the other thing I love about working with the poem, and this happened with this poem and many other poems that I worked with, is that the poem becomes a companion for life. And when I, first worked with that poem, it created a huge breakthrough that got me the CEO role. But it was another few years of working with that poem before I was really comfortable with saying, yeah, I can speak this poem now with ease, with comfort. It's not stretching me anymore. And so a poem becomes a companion for life. And the words, the energies, our relationship with it, that continues to grow and evolve, and it can pop up to whisper in our ear just when we need it most. So it's a beautiful, beautiful embodiment tool. And that's what transformation is. It's a permanent shift in how you show up and interact with life, because I could never imagine getting to a place where I would be totally comfortable with standing up and saying phenomenal woman in front of a group of people. And now I've done it many times and it's just not a thing anymore. But that took time, it took embodiment, it took community support. But that's the power of working with the poem. It really helps us create new stories in our lives as well. And I've done this work with so many people and witnessed these incredible results. So, what are you taking away from this? What is your experience around this? Have you ever had that experience of working with a poem or a quote or a song that's changed your life? That's something that's just kind of grabbed you and kind of rewritten your story from the inside out. And if you haven't, and we would love to experience this, I'd love to tell you about the magnetic presence work that I do in this magnetic presence retreat coming up soon. I'll put the details in the links below. But it's the way we work with poems inside this magnetic presence experiences is designed to rewire your system with these new operating principles, and it guides you through a really simple but potent step-by-step process of rewriting your story, from choosing a poem, and you'll get support with choosing the poem that's right for you based on your intention. So you can kind of go, oh, what medicine do I need at this time, and what poem might support me with that? And you get lots of support with that, and then working with it in this deep, multi-dimensional way to embody the new story, and also to activate that deeper truth that, oh, it is safe for me to take up space. It is safe for me to activate my fierce voice. It is safe for me to melt my frozen parts, whatever it is that your intention is. And having this powerful experience of being seen, being witnessed, being held. It's like we behold each other, we see. It's like, oh, I see that part of you. And when you're in a community and connecting in a deep, safe space with others who see your brilliance, your beauty, it just melts the old stories. It's incredibly powerful. It's incredibly deep. It's profound. And then it also gives you the tools to continue this rewiring and living into this new energy and coming back out of the retreat into your life, but with this companion by your side that will keep reminding you, oh, this is the new way of being. This is the new way of being, and whispering into your ear as you shift. So it's a very powerful way to melt that freeze response in your body, in your nervous system, and to really have an embodied experience of safety. Safe to show up, to play, to take up space. And what this helps you to do is to be energetically open for visibility, energetically open for business, and confident to invite people into your world. Come play with me. Come play with me. Come dance with me. Come embody yourself with me, whatever that is for you. And as you do that, then your heart opens and you touch others' hearts. People feel you, and you use your essence, the essence of who you are, to touch hearts and change lives just with your magnetic presence. Because you're authentic, you're open, you're undefended, you're like, yeah, I'm here. And people feel you, and that's so magical. And you get an experience in the retreat of just the impact that you have just by your presence without doing anything. It's really profound. And that can help you. What often happens as a result of that is that people feel like, oh, suddenly I know what I want to say. I'm clear on the message. I'm clear on what I want to offer next. This is it. This is the next level. This is the new energy. And getting clear on where and how you want to show up, whatever that is for you. It activates your inner guidance, just because you've released the blocks to it. It really helps you to own the truth of who you are, to be unapologetic, to kind of go, I'm not going to take on those projections. I can take up space. And that really creates openness for your opportunities and your next steps and your abundance, for visibility and your work. They naturally flow in. Magical things happen. So if you're interested in that, I would love to have you on the next Magnetic Presence retreat. And there are details in the link below and in the comments below. The next one is the 21st to the 23rd of April. That's 2023 when we're recording this, but there'll be other opportunities showing up. So what can you relate to here? What new insights are opening up for you as you hear these stories and these possibilities? Because it's possible for you to take up space, to be who you are, and to share your gifts, your wisdom, your magic with the world. So take care, and I hope to see you again soon. Bye for now.